topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, Dallas, Fort Worth. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We've got two great shows for you today. Our first half of the show is our functional medicine show, Victory Wellness MD. And we've got a real trooper. Not only is it someone who's new to the show, but she was just told, I guess about in the last 30 minutes, that she's going to be coming on the show. Let me introduce you with TrueDose, Elena Herring. Wait, is that Herning?
Herning, you got it.
Okay. Hi, Elena. Hey, you're a real trooper coming on last minute like this.
I apologize for my tardiness. Yes.
Not a problem. Well, for sure, you can, with no problem at all, tell us about what TrueDose is.
I can absolutely do that. And I know we're here on behalf of Victory Wellness MD and Dr. Nikki Walden, who's in Dallas and is one of our amazing clinics. TrueDose technology, we have a patented intellectual software platform that's solved the long-standing dosing inaccuracy problem within the field of regenerative medicine. So this technology led to uncovering the healing benefits of infusing dose-specific platelets back into the bloodstream, otherwise known as TrueDose IV therapy. Doctors use this across the country, and we've treated thousands of patients. The technology and the IV therapy has really been something everybody's been able to use to all these unmet medical needs. And
so
that's
what kind of person would seek your treatment?
You know, we really have made an impact in the autistic community.
Wow. In what way?
Which way? We have a lot of pediatricians who use this for autism and kids with special needs. And we're really finding the results coming in where children, their symptoms disappear. They can sleep. They become potty trained at 13. Tics lessen. Kids with COVID long haulers who have been in bed for 3 years are out back at school. And then the dynamic of the family changes. Mom can go back to work. The family comes together as a unit. And then in the world of chronic disease, we see all sorts of things. And the reason it works for everything is because the platelet is what governs the healing cascade in the body. So based off of the patient's platelet count and their symptoms and conditions, we know we have a dose accuracy platform that the doctors use in being able to treat the patient from the inside out.
Well, I got to tell you, this has absolutely perked my interest. I have a daughter who's autistic.
Okay.
And she's 27 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Been autistic since she was 4.
Yes.
We don't think she was born that way because
Right.
we saw the changes in her. So you're telling me this treatment, I guess, helps them to operate more on a better level.
Right. It really has the ability to reset the body. Um, and in the autism world, we have a lot of cases where kids are nonverbal and they become verbal even when they're older. Cognitively, the brain is able to recreate new blood vessels and pathways, so the stem cells can really come in and do their job. I was actually a patient, and this is how I came to this, with chronic Lyme for 25 years, and
Ooh,
essentially bedridden for the last 4 of it. And this was what shifted everything for me and kind of brought me back to life, if you will. 54, and I'm
I
not
am
sick
blown
anymore.
away. Now this is something, yes, right. This is not something, it's not a cure,
No, no
right?
cure. We don't cure, no. But the body's
This
really
is
able
amazing.
to
I mean, I
repair
think
and
about
recover.
all the with an autistic child, you think about the yelling and the screaming and not knowing, and just the fact that if you can help them 20%, that's amazing.
Yes, yes. And we have incredible, doctors and providers that, we've got, the Waldens in Dallas who have been using this since the beginning.
Mm,
And, for women's health and the integrative medicine component, we're really able to start healing the body with all the different things that they do. So, in conjunction with everything they offer at Victory Wellness, they really can heal a person.
wow,
And the
this is
kids, the
amazing.
kids are the kids are amazing. They're so much more resilient than we are. So they don't have the decades and the years. And it's a process. It's not a silver bullet, but in conjunction with everything the doctor and provider offers, it's great. And the results
Tell
we're
me
finding
how it works.
are amazing. So what happens is, you usually have a consult with the doctor, and then the day of the treatment, they prick your finger and take a blood sample, and that goes into the software and the cell counter. And this all happens in the back end of the process. And based off of the patient's platelet count day of, as well as their conditions or symptoms, the doctor knows exactly how much blood to pull to give a dose specific response, for whatever condition they're looking at. So anywhere from Lyme to lupus to autism to women's sexual health to um, MS to you name it, we can go down that list. There's a dose specific response that everybody gets, but the different amount of blood that's pulled per patient, because the body doesn't know it has lupus or Lyme. It knows that
Right.
it is metabolically not okay. And the platelet is the first defense. We call them, they're the little drones that come in and start the whole healing process off in the body. And put them back in, they see everything for the first time. So, they go in at these super high concentrated doses and they go to work and they create new blood vessels, and they just start the repair process.
We just had a listener write in wanting to know, what about types of cancer?
The C word is stay away from. Um, that's not something we've followed because, it really puts a target on your back. But that is something that they could talk to their provider about.
Okay, I understand. Um, how long does it take to start seeing results?
Some people see results before they leave the building. So
Wow.
yes, the whole process can take anywhere from about 45 minutes to an hour. And then you want to be able to have that time to stay with your provider, because, you feel almost like you have vitality that's been given back to your body. I refer to it as it's like my body recognized hope for the first time in decades. People go from the sympathetic back to parasympathetic, so that fight or flight can immediately be released. And that is super common. Neuropathy is another one that those who have not felt their feet in decades can the feeling in the feet come back before they leave the building. We've
Wow.
seen cases where people have had seizures, and they in the middle of the treatments they're seizing, and a few hours later, after staying in the clinic, the seizures dissipate, and we hear back from the docs that there's been no seizures for a week. We have one autistic kiddo who is in her 20s, and I just heard that she hasn't had a seizure in over 852 days.
I got to say this because I am getting inundated by calls.
Okay.
The reason, just so we can explain this,
Mhm.
is you've got to be really. I'm actually talking to the listeners right now. I've just gotten at least 15 phone calls about your statement about the C word. Folks, you have to be very careful what you say and what you don't say.
Mhm.
And what you need to do is call Victory Wellness at 469-713-2055. You have to be very careful on things you say, and we appreciate that. Um, so that's why we said that we have to kind of stay away from that. But this information, how come I haven't heard of it? And for example, I've probably do about three, four neuropathy shows across the country, and I've
Right.
never heard of this.
Right. The technology was developed in 2018 by Tapley Holland, the founder, and he developed the software. He had been in the stem cell world for over 25 years, and he was looking at why does PRP work sometimes and why does it not always work? Because it's such an incredible therapy for site specific. And so he went back and, went down a rabbit hole and found research that goes all the way back to 1915, when they were studying the platelet, and they knew back then what the platelet did within the body. And then modern medicine came into the scene. Penicillin, I think it was my dates are off, but around, 1918. So medicine took a turn. And so in his findings, he said, we dose everything, medications, it's all done by weight, by age, size. But why are we not dosing blood when everybody is metabolically different? So based off of the fact that everybody's metabolically different, why would you expect the same result, say for site-specific need? So he was able to hone in on the algorithms and the software that he created for dose-specific responses. And he started with, let's heal your knee and grow your hair. And then he went down the research of doing this intravenously. So it's an IV, and it helps, systemically. So it goes throughout the entire body.
How often do you have to do the treatment?
You do the goal is to do 4, and you do one every 8 to 12 weeks. And that is something you really, talk through with your provider. Dr. Walden is great and super well informed with this. And you create a treatment plan based off of your individual needs versus a base protocol that everybody uses. It's so individualized.
It's actually shocking. In fact, the show after this one is a show we're doing in I think it's in Minneapolis today. It's on neuropathy.
Oh,
Someone just wrote in, what is the medicine called? It's not medicine though. This is a
no,
transfer of blood.
right. So this is just you. This is your own blood with a little anticoagulant. So the whole spinning process, nothing, clots. And so there are no pharmaceuticals added to this. This is your body's ability to heal itself when given what needed.
What is the success rate?
The success rate, we have a lot of stories that come in. I was just at another one of our clinics, and they have somebody who flies in from Costa Rica who has MS, and she, after one treatment, is no longer in a wheelchair.
Oh, wow.
I know. I have another example is COVID long haulers and vaccine, a little from the not being able to recover from the vaccine, the COVID vaccine. So in that, I have a 28-year-old who I have heard through one of our providers that she was dying. She was in bed for able to sit up, not able to function completely, essentially incapacitated. Eyes were covered, ears were covered, and she had her first treatment. And now she did stem cells, and she'd have a little relief for about a week. And she tried this, and 4 treatments later, I got a photo, and she was standing up with a walker. And I've now, after her 5th treatment, just received another photo, and she's gained 20 pounds. She no longer needs the walker. She's out of bed, and she's coming back.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
So all these stories happen. And the reason it kind of crosses and covers a gamut is because it's your own body healing itself.
Right.
With the guidance of your doctor. And
how does this compare to stem cell?
Right. So the way the body heals, and this always stays this way, the platelets, then they do their job, and they're released from the spleen and the liver, the spleen and the lungs, and any kind of trauma, your platelets are released, whether it's emotional or physical. And they do the best job that they can. And a lot of times with these chronic diseases, you get stuck in chronic loops. And so the body isn't able to completely heal itself. And then they call in the red blood cells and the white blood cells. And after that, your stem cells are called in. And if you don't have the blood pathways open and your capillaries and all the blood vessels going, there's no place for the stem cells to go. So if you're in these inflammatory loops, same thing as with PRP, stem cells, they can't guarantee you if it'll work 50% of the time, or if it will work 100% of the time,
right,
or if it won't work at all. And it's these inflammatory loops that they have so many different levels to go through before they actually can do their job. So if you did this in the inflammatory loops you got your body out of, stem cells would have a higher success rate.
I want to tell everybody, I'm getting calls. How do you reach Dr. Walden's office?
You have to reach Dr. Walden.
We're scrolling on YouTube, but most of the people are listening on iHeart and Spotify. It's 469-713-2055. It's the Victory Wellness, Dr. Walden, 469-713-2055. This is I can't. I guess having a daughter who's autistic,
I understand.
to me, you tell me something's 20% successful, and I get excited about that.
Right.
We're getting people who want to know. One thing they want to know is, can it relieve pain, chronic
Yes.
pain?
Yes. Absolutely. Chronic
Like
fatigue.
arthritis?
Yes, it's very helpful for arthritis. And it's one of those things that each treatment builds off the next. So that's why it's important that it's not a one and done type of treatment. You really want to kind of prepare yourself for one a quarter, or, you can budget that way, knowing that you have 8 weeks in between.
So how long after your fourth treatment do you continue on with it on a maintenance?
You can. And, a lot of people will continue on a maintenance and will use it for wellness. Or if, we live in such a toxic world. So we're exposed to, between our food and our water source, our air, COVID, whatever it is, this is a great way to keep your immune system built up. It's great for wellness in general, longevity, hand-eye coordination, the brain's ability to heal itself. So any kind of brain fog, recalibrating the system, it's amazing for.
The show goes so fast. I hope we have you back again next month.
I'd love to.
Dr. Waldron will be back with us next month. And let me just one more time, 469-713-2055. That is the Victory Wellness. And you did a great job. I hope you're back with us again next month.
Yes, it was so great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Elena. And we're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.